Going to come in time when I'm going to call you on your office phone in Mayhem Towers, and I'm going to invite you to the top floor.
And
we're going to sit there. We're going to have
day.
an adult beverage, and I'm going to say, "See, I told you so." Welcome, everyone, to Mayhemtainment. I am joined by my co-host, the Master of Merc, who doesn't like the new name of our podcast, but also doesn't have...
Hey, I wasn't going to bring it up.
But also doesn't have a better suggestion. So, that shows you how much weight
I'm coming up with something. Don't worry about it. Give me an episode or two. I'll come up with something.
All right, that's great. Do it. Check us out. We're on YouTube and Rumble. Most of you are seen to be watching on YouTube, which is completely fine. Continue watching on YouTube. Please share out some episodes so that we can grow the podcast. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same, 20 or 30 of you watching these episodes.
We are happy and glad for you 20 or 30 originals, though.
But
you are Mayhem originals.
But yes, we would appreciate it.
See what I did there?
And I would appreciate it if you would just share some content. And, of course, the storefront, bonfire.com/store/JDEDESIGNz. And then, of course, our sister show, the Boiling Point Podcast. That's also on YouTube and Rumble. And it has its own storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. I'm on Twitter now, as much as I hate it, at Mayhem Prez, so you can find me there.
It is a hellscape.
It's the worst thing in the world.
It is absolutely one of the worst things in the world. You can find me at Master of Merc. I'm there too, and I hate it as well. Come join us in our misery.
It's a wretched place.
It is.
There's no place in the galaxy more full of scum and villainy. I messed that up a little bit. Sorry.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy, and that's Twitter in a freaking
It's Twitter.
phrase.
It's Twitter. So, but we're not here.
It's also Facebook. It's also Reddit. It's the internet. The internet is just sludge.
Yeah, it is. So we're going to talk about, for the final time, at least until something substantial happens, MJF.
Oh God,
I think MJF was planning to do something with CM Punk, and now we won't get to see what's exactly going on until CM Punk returns. I think his whole thing is a work. It's a work.
I don't care. I hope it's not.
It's a work. It's a storyline, and it's a work, and you hate him, and that's what his job is.
No,
are you going to boo him in the arena?
Listen. I don't hate MJF because hating a good heel is what you're supposed to do for a heel. I dislike MJF so much that I hope he goes to WWE so that I don't have to hear about MJF.
So you won't boo MJF if he's in the arena?
I mean, I booed him when I've been to a Dynamite, I've been to a Rampage, I've been to like a couple of AEW shows now. I booed the shit out of him whenever I did. But at the same time, it's been how many weeks since he's been on TV, and they're fine without him. The whole time,
the
whole time he was on TV. I'm the best this, I'm the best that. And he wrestles once every 3 months at the pay-per-view, and then he doesn't wrestle for another 3 months.
And didn't Blood and Guts got the highest ratings for Dynamite? Haven't they? Didn't they? Isn't that what I just saw?
Number one on cable for the second week in a row.
Yeah. So, and that's without MJF. So I don't believe that he's important for the company to survive. I certainly don't think
care. That. I hope he goes away.
I am a fan. I'm. Though Merc makes very, very good arguments against MJF. So, and I do agree with a lot of his points, especially the wrestling point. He doesn't wrestle nearly frequently enough. I don't like that at all. We don't need another Hogan. We don't need another Hogan. I don't want to see the championship on him because I don't want to see the championship defended once every other month at a pay-per-view only.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Which is exactly what you'll see from Max.
We saw that.
He's just going to be one of those champions who sits back and defends his belt at the pay-per-view.
Or makes him fight
always
all
makes
six
mocks
of the
or exactly. You've got to go through Shawn Spears. You got to go through FTR, just like he did every single time he ever did anything. He made Wardlow go through the thing. He made Mox go through the thing. He made Jericho go through it's what Max does, and I'm tired of it.
It is. It is getting
I'm
repetitive.
done.
He's got to do something else.
He's not that good.
He's got to do something else.
He's not even that good in the ring. Like, go back and watch. Like, the last time he had a good match was him versus freaking Mox for the title.
The ring thing does need to be seen to, because he's not wrestling with nearly enough frequency. And at this point, he's been his own enemy. Not being in the ring. Listen, when you're high valued the way he was, let's say a year ago at this point, okay, but now he hasn't been in the ring in so long. No one cares if he's wrestling or not.
Nope.
No one cares to see if he's in a match. He's good on the mic. That's great, but you need more than that.
There's better.
I don't know about that. I'm sorry. I disagree with you on that. On the mic, I think he is one of the best heels we've seen since Ric Flair.
I mean, it is absolutely his best thing. Like, his mic work is his best thing. I think he's mid in the ring at best. He's mid-card in the ring.
We do need to see the ring.
Besides the blood and guts match that he had with Jericho and the Inner Circle, besides the war he had with Mox, like, he had some great matches, but he hasn't had good matches in a while.
Yeah.
His stock is absolutely down, and I honestly hope to hell that's not a work. I hope that he went off on Tony Khan and that Tony Khan's making him sit out the rest of his contract at home, because I don't want to hear any more about MJF. He's overrated, and I'd rather see Kip Sabian back on AEW TV than see MJF come back.
You know who I'd like to see come back? And that concludes the final time we're going to mention MJF, at least until he gets on an episode of Dynamite and does something beyond talking.
Yes.
Okay? At least until he gets in the ring with a wrestling match. So MJF, if you're a fan of this show, if you want to be mentioned on it again, you need to get back in the ring.
I mean, if MJF is a fan of this show, then, like, dude, you suck. Just go to WWE. Go to WWE so I don't have to hear your mid self anymore. That's the last word on MJF.
Yeah, you know who I'd like to see come back, though? I wouldn't mind seeing Christopher Daniels come back.
Yeah, he's been
around.
He's around. He is a backstage guy. Like, he definitely has
also a
lot of behind the scenes. He does, but he's taking very limited bookings.
But he's also is he injured right now? I have in my notes here that he's injured, so maybe he's injured at the moment.
At least slightly retired. Like, he did definitely, like, mostly retire. He does some indie shows every now and then. I think he did something for Impact because it was just like their anniversary or something like that. They had a big event for Impact.
Yeah. Listen, we don't have this in our notes, but let's talk AEW. I mean, who was it? Bryan Danielson. A bunch of AEW stars just filmed something for WWE.
Bryan Danielson, Kane? Moxley. For John Cena. It was John Cena's 20th anniversary of his debut.
So I think that's big of Tony Khan, and I think that goes to what he's looking for. I think he's looking to get back to these companies working together. And
I mean, he said in an interview, like, what was it, last week, maybe slightly before that he's fully open to an AEW x WWE Super Show. Like, he said he's absolutely willing to have that discussion with WWE. He said, we've never had those discussions. Like, we've talked very, very, mostly about these things. Like, we have Bryan Danielson recording something for John Cena.
Yeah.
Big Show, or Paul White, I believe, did so as well.
Yeah, he did.
Moxley.
And, Mox.
They had Mox do something for John Cena's 20th. Like, and they at least showed, and Jericho, I believe, was the other one that did something for it. And, that's really cool that, not only was Tony Khan like, yeah, you can do that, but that the WWE were also willing to have these guys who were obviously in the other company.
That they were willing to make the call in the first place, because that's not Vince McMahon's forte.
They also did just allow Mickie James as your Impact Knockouts World Champion in the Women's Royal Rumble. Granted, it's because but they also didn't embarrass her. She didn't go in, like, get, kicked and thrown right out of the ring. Like, she had a good showing. I think she eliminated 2 or 3 people. Like, she had a good showing in the women's Rumble. And I mean, granted, a lot of that was because of how desperately they needed women for that Rumble. Like, they had just let go, like, a good quarter of the women's roster.
And they've let go some more since then.
And everything.
But the women's division not looking good, but that's a perfect segue into our next point. The WWE and Stephanie McMahon is now at the helm.
Yes. Well,
She's interim chief executive officer. Is that what her position is? I think.
I believe yes, or intern or interim, something like that. While these allegations
she's the top
get looked
now.
at,
She is the person making decisions.
I doubt that. Maybe like an official capacity, but Papa Vince is the one still running. Like Vince hasn't let any of the reins go.
I don't think I agree. I don't think I agree with that. I think it.
Dude, he's been on every SmackDown and Raw since he has given up his position. He has appeared on every SmackDown and every Raw since announcing he's giving up his position.
Well,
he has been traveling with the company and running things behind just because he's stepping down from the head of the WWE while these serious allegations are investigated. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Stephanie came back though, so they had to have given her. There's something. Stephanie McMahon did not come back to WWE for it to be as is. For it to be the same old recipe.
I think Stephanie came back to save face for the most part, and so somebody's there if these charges actually do Vince could see some jail time. Like if any of this is provable and it's proven that he acted with malice and paid true hush money with WWE corporate funds, that's textbook embezzling. Vince could see some prison time.
I understand your point because we don't necessarily know all the facts, yet. These are just allegations at this point. However,
the fact that he's traveling with the show,
IJD will go out on a limb here and say, of course, these allegations are true.
Yes.
Because Vince McMahon, of course, is a predator. If you can't see that, then you're not looking hard enough.
Seriously, go back and watch some of the early, late 90s stuff. He's
right
there.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
who Vince McMahon
That is absolutely correct. The Vince McMahon character, and even if it wasn't true at the time when he started the Vince McMahon character, he became, somewhere along the line, he became the Vince McMahon character.
Yes.
Which is also why the WWE ratings have been suffering the last 10 years. He doesn't know what he's doing. He needs to get out of the way. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H are clearly the future of the company, assuming they actually do want it. I think Shane is just as corrupted and nasty and disgusting as Vince is.
I think that's why Shane left. I think Shane is just trying to wash himself of all of it. That's why Shane is talent. Shane has been talent for over a decade. He doesn't want any of that front office shit. And I think it's either because
he's doing his own stuff. Yeah, he's got his own things going on, and I don't think he wants to be in it. And probably either he's just. I think he's the same as Vince, or he sees who Vince is and wants absolutely no part of it.
I think it's more likely that because Shane has always seemed like at least a little bit of not the same. I don't know. I mean, it's not like I actually know him or anything, but Shane seems like he just kind of wanted to distance himself from the whole thing. And he comes back every WrestleMania every now and then to make a couple $1 million, put his next kid through college. I get it. I think Stephanie came back as a safety net just in case some of these charges actually stick with Vince.
You mean for when these charges with Vince stick?
Nothing criminal has been brought up yet. As of right now, it's just an internal WWE investigation. Because there is a DA that's apparently looking at some stuff, and there is a full-on investigation going on. If these charges lead to anything that's actionable in court or by criminal law, and Vince goes and does some time, I think Stephanie is there to catch it and to be the safety net just in case. But the fact that Vince is traveling with the show, the fact that he's on SmackDown, he's on Raw, he hasn't given up dick. Vince is absolutely still the one in the back, writing the card, writing how everything goes. Stephanie's the one that's sitting in freaking corporate doing all the meetings, so Vince doesn't have to anymore.
If Vince stays in charge of WWE, I'm going to be buying some WWE puts on the exchange because I expect that the WWE share price is going to plummet. And I mean drop off. I don't mean go down. I mean have a sudden cardiac event.
From what I've heard, the sale to Peacock is already negotiated. The price is already figured out. Everything's pretty much negotiated. I think the breaking of this big story and everything is the only thing that put that on hold for right now. Was this big freaking story. And if it actually goes down in my opinion, it's only a matter of time before Peacock owns WWE.
Peacock, you think they're the front runners?
Yeah, I think they're the only runners.
You're probably not wrong.
I mean, they're literally on Peacock. They're on the Peacock network. They have all these freaking contracts with like Peacock and NBC and all these. Like, I think it's the only choice. I think Vince sells it to the Peacock for whatever it's worth when the rest of this story breaks bad.
Well, I don't have my Robinhood logged in on this tablet, so I was going to check the WWE share price.
Sitting here actually making moves mid-podcast. I see how it is.
It's a Sunday, so it's a Sunday when we're shooting this, so the market is not open today. I was just going to look at the WWE market over the last month or so to see what has been happening with the company. It's in my watch list, but I don't check it myself very often because it goes up a little bit from time to time when something big happens or around a WrestleMania, and then it just craters again.
I mean, they just signed Logan Paul to a long-term WWE contract.
That's ridiculous. Let's get off the WWE for a minute and switch back to AEW. They're having an injury issue at the moment, aren't they? Kenny Omega's injured and maybe not coming back.
Big. What's that?
Kenny Omega may not be coming back, from what I understand. His injury.
I mean, he was said during an interview, or I believe it was a Twitch stream he was doing, where he said if he has one more significant setback in his rehab, that it might be over.
Yeah.
Like, he's had apparently some surgeries. He's had some really bad. He's doing 2 to 3 times a day, like some really intense rehab trying to get back into the ring. He was very
injured. He needed 2 or 3 surgeries initially when he finally took some time off. He didn't take time off. He kept wrestling with the injuries. He had that amazing match with Moxley.
Yeah.
And he should not have. He should not have done that. That's why he's facing these setbacks. So I hope, even though I'm not a big Kenny Omega fan. I mean, I don't buy his whole gimmick. I liked him as a heel. It was the first and only time I've ever liked Kenny Omega.
I mean, the fact that he was wrestling those matches with Vertigo is just like, he is a hell of a competitor. And if we've seen Kenny Omega's last match, that is a crying damn shame. But I also understand, he's got
don't
other
wait that
things,
long to rehab some of your injuries.
As a VP, I mean, he's got AEW games,
new champion, new company. I get it. You can't just, but now he risked his health, and now he may not even be coming back. So
he's still rehabbing. He wants to come back, but he did say if he has one more bad setback, it might be the end of Kenny Omega's career, which would be very sad.
Bryan Danielson's injured now.
Concussion. Yeah, he'll be back here shortly, I believe.
People aren't so sure about that either. Concussions are no small thing. It's good that he's taking time off, though, for a concussion. I think that's important to do.
I think he'll be all right. I think it'll only be a few more weeks until he's back.
Jeff Hardy, now he's been, he's always injured on and off. He does crazy stunts. Is AEW, look, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk's injured.
Jeff Hardy's
Sting was injured. Jeff Hardy has been injured on and off even with AEW.
Yeah.
All these injuries
Jeff Hardy's...
AEW. Hold on, let's forget about Jeff Hardy for a second.
Okay.
Is AEW putting their talent in harm's way, or are the wrestlers on board? Do you think they're part of these decisions?
I mean, yeah, Tony Khan doesn't go out there and tell, hey, jump off the top of a 20-foot ladder. They go, hey, you're having this match and you're having these 15 minutes. What do you want to do during that time?
So
that's the type of company that Tony Khan runs.
Okay, so he's not Jeff Hardy thing, them. That's fine. Should he be restraining some of his wrestlers then? If you're of the opinion that it's the wrestlers making these calls, should he be reining in some of these ideas to prevent
they are
serious
grown-ass
injury?
men. They are grown-ass wrestlers. They made the decision to do this stuff. Being reined in and being told what to do is exactly why they didn't blossom in WWE.
I agree with everything Merc says.
However, the Jeff Hardy thing,
No. I mean,
Jeff Hardy
just based on what you said, Jeff Hardy shouldn't. He was making the decisions to jump off of the concrete thing and through 5 or 6 tables and jumping off ladders, which then he shouldn't have been doing, though.
I honestly don't even know what to do with this Jeff Hardy situation.
Well, I'm with you. I think it's about self-responsibility there. I think he should have not been doing some of those crazy stuff. He should have gotten back on narcotics.
He should have.
It's a downward spiral. As soon as a wrestler gets injured like that,
he's back on the booze. He's back on the drugs. And then he gets arrested again and pulled over. He's in jail. It was his 5th DUI or something. He's not getting out of this one. And I'm Jeff Hardy. I'm gonna go do some do this. No. Jeff Hardy's going to be in some serious trouble because not only does he have this new DUI, but by having DUI within X amount of time while he was still on probation for the last ones, they can come back and hit him with all the time for the first freaking 4.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy, I don't think we're going to see him in a wrestling ring anytime soon again.
Likely
And
ever again, yeah.
I honestly think it was kind of a fucked up thing, so the way some of the fans were like jumping on Matt Hardy, saying he was enabling Jeff and everything, but at the same time there does have to be a conversation of like self-reliability and self-responsibility at the same time. But at the same time, like, no, like, you had to have seen that there was a problem. Like, there had to have been warning signs again. Like, his last look, if you look back at his last, like, 2 or 3 matches in AEW before he was suspended again, it was like we were watching him in TNA all over again. He was coming to the ring, he was looking down, and his eyes were low, and he was, like, dropping swantons like freaking cement bags. Like, I was telling Andrew, like, a week before he got arrested again, I was like, I don't like the way Jeff Hardy looks. Yeah. I was like, this is not a great situation. This whole thing is bad. Yeah. And that's really all I can... Like, the Jeff Hardy situation has me so messed up, because I was like, oh no, he's fine. He's going to be all right. He's coming to AEW. The Hardy Boys. Yeah, one last run. And then just to see it go down this path that we've seen it go down so many times already, again, is just disappointing, to say the least.
Yeah. I agree with you. And I do think it's on Jeff Hardy, and I wouldn't come down on Matt Hardy that hard, because there's only so much you can do.
It's very true. Grown ass man, he makes his own decisions and everything.
Yeah, what was he gonna do? Go to AEW and tell Tony Khan, I don't want to wrestle with my brother anymore?
Yeah,
Although, I mean, yeah, if you're not sober in the ring, then you can risk other people. So that I do put on Matt Hardy a little bit. I think he should have done more to try and keep him out of the ring.
That match against him and the Bucks, I mean, Matt Hardy took most of that match. Jeff Hardy, like, tagged in twice during that match to do, like, a couple of quick moves, and then Nick Jackson, like, was trying to work with him, and it was like William Regal and Goldberg all over again. Like, Nick Jackson was trying to work with an obviously... if not fucked up, at least hung over Jeff Hardy. Like, it was that match versus the Young Bucks. That's the one that, like, I will point out to. Go back and rewatch that Hardy Boys versus Young Bucks match at the pay-per-view. It was a train wreck. It was a train wreck.
That was at Blood and Guts, right?
No, that was at the pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, that was at the...
There was All Out. That was at the last AEW pay-per-view. Not Forbidden Door, but the one before that. Yeah. And it was just a train wreck, and it was like a week later he freaking got arrested again, so... Yeah. You hate to see it.
Yeah, Jeff Hardy's good, but yeah, not. I mean, the crazy stuff he does, it's crazy, and he gets big. He gets big draws and big reactions, but you can't.
No, he's beyond that time. Like, he needs to. I mean, they did a whole freaking storyline during the final deletion and during, like, the YouTube series and everything of, like, Jeff Hardy putting the ladder away and, like, trying to learn a new way to wrestle and a new way to be Jeff Hardy without the big bumps and everything. And I was like, why weren't you still doing that? Like.
Yeah.
But he just, as soon as he signed with AEW, he was jumping off 25-foot fucking tall ladders again. And he's like, dude, you're in your 40s. Yeah. And, like, the human body is not meant to, like, look at Shawn Michaels. He literally went away for, like, a decade to heal. And you didn't do that. You just kept jumping off ladders.
Yeah.
Like, I know we kind of got stuck up on Jeff Hardy here a little bit, but it's so disappointing to see.
It is.
I'm just really, because I was really excited. I was hoping they were going to do this new Hardy Boys run right, and to just see it immediately predictably go off the rails like it always fucking has.
Why did they go right back to the? Why did they go right back to the Hardy Boys? Matt Hardy came in with a great gimmick that I know he's used on many platforms now, and I know that within that gimmick he goes to, like, sub gimmicks, like Big Money Matt. Then he transitioned to Big Money Matt.
And then he goes into, like, Brother Nero. I knew you, like...
Yeah, but
why didn't they bring Jeff Hardy in as Brother Nero?
And why did they continue... Why did they give... Yeah, exactly. Why did they not continue the evolution of Matt Hardy's overall character?
The House of Hardy's final... Like, the House of Hardy deletion, like, versus the House of Black, or versus, like, the Dark Order, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it could have written itself, and it would have been great, but no, they just had to go back. Oh, you know what? We're going to go to the 90s. Yep. We're going to pull out the 90s gear.
At 45 years old.
No.
Back to Team Extreme at 45 years old.
Freaking 50, pushing 50 years old. Like,
it's like Eddie Kingston doing an Insiguri. All right. Seriously, that's how bad it is.
Eddie.
Poor Eddie. We're going to talk about him in a minute, but let's go to Blood and Guts, which was their TV pay-per-view that AEW likes to do a couple times a year, which I'm very happy with.
Just recently, I do love the good premium show for free on TV. You do gotta love that.
Absolutely. Orange Cassidy is phenomenal.
Orange Cassidy is absolutely phenomenal. He is, I believe, one of the most underrated stars in AEW.
Absolutely.
And they should put a belt on him. Like, I don't know if maybe he's the one that beats Wardlow for the TNT title in like 6 months, 8 months. I don't know if he's the one that takes it off Pac.
Yeah.
Like, they got the All-Atlantic Championship. Like, maybe him and somebody get the tag belts off the Bucks. I don't see the Bucks being the tag champs for very long. I think the Bucks being... I think the tag belts...
I think the Hardys were going to be champions at this point.
Yes, exactly.
But because of that, the
with
Bucks
everything
are still
in the Hardys,
champions.
the whole tag team thing just got completely rewritten because obviously they had this Christian Cage turning on Jungle Boy and brainwashing Luchasaurus. They had this planned out, so they didn't... They wanted to pull the trigger on that.
Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. I like the Dark Luchasaurus.
I do like. I'm a big fan of Dark Luchasaurus.
Yeah, me too.
I like that his mask is darker. I like that he's being more vicious and more like.
I like the black mouth paint, like the black
away from the green
stuff.
and away from like the I'm Luchasaurus. So this like dark and evil, like possessed or freaking brainwashed Luchasaurus. I'm loving it.
I've seen
loving
some people
Dark
in wrestling
Luchasaurus.
groups compare him to Kane. I disagree with that completely.
I completely disagree with that. I think Luchasaurus is 10 times the character Kane could be.
I don't know about that statement either. Let's be clear, but I definitely I don't think he's Kane. I don't think he's Kane.
You take the Undertaker away from Kane. What is Kane? Nothing. Kane is always the Undertaker's little brother. Always and forever. Kane will always be the Undertaker's little brother. You take the Undertaker out of the picture.
That's how
Kane
the character got its start. True.
Luchasaurus doesn't need his Undertaker. Luchasaurus is his own Undertaker.
Well, then a better comparison would be that he's more of an Undertaker, but I don't like that comparison.
I mean, I don't know if anybody can be compared to the Undertaker.
I don't like either comparison. I think Luchasaurus is his own character.
Yes, but I
think
do like the dark.
Christian Cage is going to go
I
well.
love the dark Luchasaurus. I love what they're doing right now.
I think this is going to put Jungle Boy over
like
big
a
time.
Motherfucker. Yeah.
I think when he finally comes back and actually beats Luchasaurus and then beats Christian Cage, I think those are going to be big pops.
That's
for
a
Jungle
springboard
Boy.
that they need to immediately springboard him into
Jungle
a
Boy.
championship.
I also think when he
after
returns from whatever his fake injury is or whatever's happening,
they're keeping him off TV to build it up.
Yeah, it's Jungle Boy needs to die. It's time for something different. He cannot. I don't believe he can come back. I don't think he can come back as Jungle Boy. I think he needs a new moniker. Jungle Boy has been killed by Luchasaurus. It's time for something else.
I agree.
Without Luchasaurus, without Marco Stunt, without Christian Cage, there is no Jungle Boy without the whole.
It's time
group.
for the character evolve. It's time for the next evolution of Jack Perry.
Yeah, and Marco Stunt has been off the AEW roster for a while, so
yeah, he doesn't have a contract
Christian
anymore
Cage in the first place. Yeah. War Games. The War Games match. They're blood and guts.
The blood and guts match.
Come on, let's be real. It's they just can't use the War Games name because the WWE still owns it. They just can't use the Fall Brawl name because the WWE still owns it. It's the same match.
Blood and guts.
A double ring and closed steel cage. That's Fall Brawl. War Games.
It was one of the best. It was a great match. Once again, they pull out the blood and guts, the double cage, the double ring with the cage. Last time we saw it was Inner Circle versus Pinnacle. This time it's the Jericho Appreciation Society versus my favorite stable in wrestling right now, the Blackpool Combat Club.
With some additions to that, because not all those members were Blackpool Combat Club members. That's very true.
Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston were the only ones who weren't Blackpool Combat Club members.
Well, there's only 6.
Claudio Castigliere. Claudio.
It was Claudio, Mox, and
Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah.
Who I'm loving. I'm loving to see the evolution of Wheeler Yuta. I love everything that he's doing.
I like Wheeler Yuta.
I love that he's fighting and defending that Ring of Honor Pure Championship. I love that every time we see him, he gets a little bit better in the ring. I think him sticking around with Mox and Danielson and obviously William Regal's effect on him. Like, William Regal is absolutely doing wonders for the AEW locker room. You can see the improvement already.
Yeah. What's his name? Claudio?
Yes, Claudio Castigliere, I believe is his name.
Yeah, and who was he in the WWE? I'm drawing a blank on his name.
He was
Cicero?
Cicero, thank
Was he
you.
Cicero?
Yes,
Okay,
Cicero.
good.
Cicero. I was like, it was right there. He was one of our punching bags in the last wrestling game we played in.
Yeah.
But yes, he was Cicero, I believe was his name, or
Yeah.
Cesaro.
Yeah, and it's good to see him doing. I don't know what he's going to do in the Blackpool Combat Club. I don't know if he really matches up with the Blackpool Combat Club.
I think he does.
We'll
Him and
have to see his
Danielson, like
character
again,
evolve
he's
a little bit more.
another like Danielson friend. Like he's from that same crew. Him and Eddie Kingston have had some wars in the independents,
which we know they're obviously going to go back.
Him
to that.
and Eddie Kingston have had
that was
hate
telegraphed.
each other. Those guys have had wars in the independents together.
Eddie Kingston, what's his name? Santana
Ortiz.
Yeah, which one was injured?
Santana, I believe, was the one who was injured.
I'm having trouble. I always have trouble separating those two. I always just know them as Santana or Ortiz. You can't ask me which one is Santana and which one is Ortiz. I don't know. But yeah, he was injured.
Very quickly
Eddie
in the
Kingston
match.
also got pretty injured. He
Yeah.
was injured at the end of that match. Certainly, he couldn't even hardly stand up.
I love that visual.
You could actually hear him talk. Like you could actually see his mouth. You know, he's mouthing, "It's my back.
Yeah,
I'm okay though, but it's my back."
You love that visual with them standing victorious on the top of the cage at the end of it. Like,
Yeah, just missing Ortiz?
Yeah, or no, Santana. Yeah, because like I said, Santana made it into the match for all of a minute or two before he went to do a move, and his knee it was bad. Like, because as soon as you saw it, you were like, oh, that's not good.
Yep, it was
That's
the
not
knee.
good.
It
That was
the
one
knee.
of those times where you're just like, oh, that's gonna be ugly on the X-ray.
Yep, that's the knee, and he'll likely be out for a bit. Yeah,
Yeah, I believe he pretty much hugged the cage until they got an opportunity, and they helped him out of there, and pretty much that was the end of that right there.
Yeah, the Blood and Guts War Games match did a great paying homage to the War Games of old matches.
Couldn't agree more.
Of course, it was set up the same way, only ending if someone gives up or taps out, submits in some way.
Claudio having him in, he had him in like a cross arm thing, while Eddie Kingston had Jericho going, like working his arm. Like
Claudio had him in the sharpshooter. And Eddie Kingston is the one that had him in like a rear naked choke.
Yeah, and he was like working his arm and getting him open. Like that was a great visual, great ending of the match. I thought it was really well done with everybody on top. Oh, and that spot where Claudio giving him the big freaking swing on top of a cage, that was crazy. Jericho said on Twitter, he said it was the scariest spot he's ever done.
Yeah,
like,
I saw that.
He was like, listen, that's because I trusted the guy, and it was a great visual. Like, he was like, but seriously, scariest spot I've done in my entire... Because if he slips, Jericho goes off into the crowd.
Yeah, or Jericho slips and Cicero's still pulling, trying to keep the balance. He could walk himself backwards right off the cage.
Oh man. That was
a visual.
Definitely
that was
a visual.
something.
The big swing on top of a cage like that was crazy.
War Games match typically don't go to the top of the cage. That was something that they added.
Now that's the second one in a row now for AEW going to the top.
Yeah, that's obviously something that they're going to do. But the War Games matches typically, because the cage was enclosed, the whole point was you don't get out of the cage until someone submits. So that is a different part that they're adding. They're kind of putting their own little spice to it, having people go to the top of the enclosed cage.
Crazy.
FTR. Are they the greatest tag team today? Are they the greatest tag team ever?
Without hesitation or reservation, they are the greatest tag team active today, in my opinion. Without hesitation, without even having to... and there's other names you can put up that are great tag teams active today. I would put the Bucks there. I would put, the Good Brothers are a great tag team right now. The Usos are a great tag team walking right now. Jimmy and Jey Uso are a great tag team. But right now, FTR is hands above the best active tag team in wrestling today. Best of all time, I think they are absolutely part of that conversation. And I don't think there's a whole lot that you can really argue against them. 7-star FTR, they have won seven major titles. They have won the with them winning the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships of the World. solidifies these guys in a way that not even the Dudleys were able to do. Like,
no, the Dudleys were. I mean, listen, back back in the day, it was the four majors: the AWA, the NWA, the WWE or F, and the WCW. There was only 2 or 3 teams, I even think, that held all 4 of those, and even some of them were conditional because the NWA tag titles became the WCW tag titles.
Yep.
So there's
then you also put
there.
There's ECW tag titles as well.
Yeah.
They might not have the legacy or like the length of the titles, but the ECW tag team titles were very much defended, and the Dudleys and Edge and Christian held them, I believe, and the freaking Hardys held them. Like,
there was and FTR, what they put together is the equivalent of all of those things.
Literally
have
everybody.
Done.
They have gotten the Raw, the SmackDown, the AEW, the Impact, the Ring of Honor, the IWGP, the AAA, the AAA Mega Champion. Like,
that's 7
stars. Like, it's their T-shirt, it's their new thing, 7-star FTR. Like, and they absolutely deserve it. I don't really think there's. I mean, they're right up there with the Legion of Doom, with the Hart Foundation, in my opinion. Like, yes, they are some of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. And to say they are the best, I mean, I can... That's a conversation. I think that's a whole episode of itself, like putting the number 1 crown. But yeah, I think you absolutely can make an argument for why FTR is the greatest tag team in history.
Yeah, I would agree with that also, that they definitely need to be in the conversation, if nothing else.
Yeah, all right, I couldn't agree more.
We're going to wrap it up here. The All-Atlantic Championship. Is that the 3rd belt now? Or is it the TNT title being regulated to that status?
I mean, right now, I think in the level of prestige, I think we can both agree. I mean, now Wardlow just during the last Dynamite has won the TNT title, so there's some hope he can bring some prestige back to that. But obviously, the TNT title has been in the dumpster since Miro lost it. Like, you got Sammy, Cody, Sammy, Scorpio Sky,
Sammy,
Scorpio back Sky. To Scorpio Sky. Like, and I mean, they did the whole like porn freaking thing with the belt and every like it was
there's been multiple versions of the TNT title running around.
It's yes. Oh, and the championship stealing the challenger stealing the belt away from the champion again, and then Sammy took the salt. Horrible. Everything that has happened with the TNT title over the last 6 months, pre-Wardlow winning it, has been absolute crap. I'm really excited to see Wardlow with the TNT belt. I'm really hoping he can put some prestige, put some respect back on that freaking belt. As of right now, I would put, because of the respect that PAC has from the international wrestling community, from the absolute professionalism that PAC brings to that belt and brings to that title, I would say right now, I think the All-Atlantic Championship sits a little bit higher than the TNT belt right now.
So the All-Atlantic Championship maybe is going to be the second title, and the
I'm
TNT
thinking right
title is
now,
going to be that tertiary title.
I'm thinking right now they are even. I'm thinking right now they're probably neck to neck when it comes to like which belt is more prestigious. I'd say they're very, very even, and it all depends on what the current champions do with it. If Wardlow can re-elevate that belt, remind people why that TNT title was originally a bit of a prestigious battle. That open title, that open challenge that happened for. The fact that it was defended in good wrestling
there were some
matches.
good reigns with it, before it got mixed up with Sammy Guevara, Scorpio Sky, and Cody Rhodes.
Ty Conti and Cody Rhodes. And we didn't need any of that.
It's going to be weird if it does get regulated to kind of the third, being the third belt in AEW, because the TBS belt certainly has some prestige on the women's side. With Jade Cargill still reigning, though I'm not the biggest Jade Cargill fan. I think her reign's enough is enough already with her reign. It's time to give that belt to someone else.
She does nothing but beat jobbers. Like she's never beaten Chris Statlander. She's never beaten Thunder Rosa. She never beat DMD. She hasn't beaten she beat Penelope. I think one of her biggest wins was Penelope Ford. Yeah. Like she always comes in against the new jobber on Dark, Kiera Hogan and freaking Jamie Hayter and shit like that. And these are good athletes and everything, but she hasn't beaten anybody. All she does is she beats the new squash match for the, I don't see that TBS title as, honestly, anything really.
You don't think so?
No,
I think her reign, at least, I think the length of her reign is giving it some credence.
The length of her reign
even though it's a Goldberg-esque reign, beating a bunch of jobbers.
I'm not a big fan of, yeah, exactly. That's all she does. Is she goes out and she has 2
But even at some point with jobbers, still being able to put on that type of title reign is still impressive. I give Goldberg for the length of time that his streak went on, not the amount of people that he beat. You know what I mean? Because in today's wrestling, it's hard to keep a championship. Promoters are always wanting to give the belt to someone else. The change in title's a big pop and a big draw for wrestling.
I think what we're gonna see is Pac defending this All Atlantic Championship in other promotions. Like, he does a lot of stuff in England. Like, he comes over and obviously he travels for AEW, but he does a lot of stuff like in the English indies and like the European indies. So I could absolutely see Pac like defending that belt in like in the international or in the British wrestling community and shit like that. Like, I think there's a great British Championship Wrestling that I believe he wrestles for. Warhorse is their British champion right now. It's great. He actually he brought the Great British Championship belt and brought it to the Liberty Bell. It was like, you see that belt? That's freedom right there. That is good old-fashioned American freedom, and you wouldn't understand anything being the British ass belt that you are. Freedom, smell it, belt. Like, if you want to get a good laugh in the international wrestling community, follow Warhorse on Twitter. He's hilarious. He's absolutely great. He's an independent wrestler, and him and a bunch of the him, Kid Bandito, Matt Cardona, like, it's this new brand of independent wrestlers that are doing independent wrestling and making themselves superstars. Like Warhorse, Matt Cardona. I don't think Kid Bandito has been on AEW, but they've done stuff for AEW. They've come in, they've wrestled some matches. Warhorse has been on Dark a couple of times. Cardona's wrestled Jericho. Like, they come in, but they didn't sign. They're not all elite, but they're staying independent wrestlers, and they're making huge careers for themselves, like staying independent, which is something that like was always against what everybody else wanted to do. You wanted to make your name as an indie and then sign to a big promotion. But now there's these guys out there, there's these athletes out there who are doing it and making like an independent wrestler and making shit ton of money. Yeah. You love to see it. You love to see any way you can see these guys get themselves over and get their characters in front of more people.
Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of capitalism. So that just goes to everything. Do you want to talk about what do you think about the final thing? Skip that, save that for another one, or you want to talk about that?
I think that's that is a big. It's a heavy ass topic.
Right? So
I think maybe we save that for another episode. Fine.
I like that too.
I think that's
we have one more segment on here, or one more topic that we were going to discuss, but we're going to save it and add it to another episode because we think
spoiler
it's probably
alert,
going
Chris
to be
Benoit. So that should tell you alone why we need some time for this one.
And the reason that I put it on there, and the reason that we're going to talk about him at some point is because I saw something on one of those wrestling pages that Merc and I follow. So that we can keep updated on any hidden information or anything that we can't find or
rumors for the most part.
Yeah. But someone said that the only reason that Chris Benoit was popular or even known was because of the events that happened at the end of his life. I mean, I found that completely the most preposterous thing I've heard in a long time. So that's why I wanted to.
Yes,
that's why we wanted to talk about him, and we're going to bring that up at another episode.
Chris Benoit is a topic that is rightfully a touchy subject for a lot of wrestling fans, but we should absolutely discuss it. We should
next
talk
time,
it and go into
maybe
it
not next
when
time.
we have some more time.
Yes, when we have more time. I am getting ready to move, so it's likely going to be 2 or maybe 3 weeks till you see another episode.
A little bit of a hiatus here, but we'll get right back to it.
Yeah, just as soon as I get settled when I move, I'm hoping it won't be more than a week or so for me to get moved, and then another week or so till I get episodes going and posted again, because sometimes they do take production time. Does take some time. Sometimes that was a lot of use of the word time.
Yes, takes some time. Sometimes.
Please share out this episode. Leave us a comment on anything that we talked about. Who the greatest tag team is? What about the championships? Is the Atlantic Championship the tertiary third title now? Is it the TBS title? Or the TNT title.
Too many belt-itis. I would officially say this is officially a case of too many belt-itis in AEW.
I was worried. Yep, I was concerned about that. And there's still one more belt that Tony Khan has that hasn't even made their debut.
Now yet. I don't think you can do the triples titles. Now I don't think with this new All Atlantic title, I don't think you can bring in another belt. you're getting chock-a-block full of fucking belts.
Yeah, I mean, it is getting, at this point, come on, Tony
It's
Khan.
getting ridiculous.
Tony
like,
Khan.
you need to stop. I know when it first opened up, everybody was like, yo, Tony, we need some more titles. But
And you did.
gotta stop with it.
Yeah, you did at the
Like-
time, because no one respects the FTW. No one even gives a damn about the FTW championship. That is such a nothing belt. I am a big fan of Ricky Starks.
Does look really good
I think
on Ricky
he should get a
Starks,
reign
though.
with the TNT title.
Yes.
Or
like,
the mid, or the All Atlantic title.
They need to push Ricky Starks. That man is...
And Darby Allin. Darby Allin?
Darby Allin was like one of the first TNT
Yeah, I know, but it's
champions.
time for him to get another reign. I don't give a crap.
No, Ricky Starks. I want to see Ricky Starks pushed to the stratosphere.
Yeah, because that it's time for him to get away from that FTW. Taz, you don't need a stable of your own.
Ricky
Stay in the
fucking
commentary
Starks.
booth.
No,
shut
listen,
the hell up.
Keep Team Taz going. I mean, I'm not a biggest fan of Team Taz.
There
but
is no
keep it
Team
going,
Taz. Come on, it's Ricky Starks and
Powerhouse Hobbs, yeah.
And what's his name? His own son isn't even part of a stable anymore.
But,
His
I mean,
own
Hook is
son's
still
working
part
with,
of, like,
of course he
Danhausen,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, Hook and Danhausen. And there's no reason he shouldn't continue with Danhausen. That's money.
Money.
That's money.
Money.
So keep going and keep doing it. And I think AEW is going to keep doing things. And what Hook and Danhausen have going is also money. So we'll talk more about Hook and Danhausen as they develop. Chris Benoit will be a topic for another conversation. So, but we're going to wrap it up. Share it out. Please leave us a comment on things. You can follow Master of Merc at
Master of Merc.
At Master of Merc. I am also on the horrendous thing that is Twitter at Mayhem Prez, and YouTube, Facebook, Rumble. Look for us.
We're
Follow
out
us.
there. You can find us. Just look. We're there.
Co-host Master of Merc. I'm your host JD. That's the end.
Peace.